Now, at this time, we are going to hear from Rhonda Morton, who many of you know from her work with our employee resource groups here in the Corning community. Rhonda is a transformation strategist. She runs her own business, Savannah Consulting, through which she helps people achieve profoundly satisfying lives. She also helps to create workplaces focused on the triple bottom line of profit, people, and the planet. As an improvisational performer, Rhonda loves nothing better than to step onto a bare stage and spin whole worlds from movement, story, and song. Rhonda, the stage is yours.
To be or to do? That was the question. Throughout my 20s and 30s and into my 40s, I was an entrepreneur, a mother, a social activist, a performing artist, and a health nut. My days were full of doing. In fact, the idea of just being kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies. I mean, I am what I do, right? And if I'm not getting something done, don't I cease to matter? I wrote a poem in 1998 that captured what my life was like back then. The title, Rapid Capitalists and Systematic Women, comes from a Pablo Neruda poem. Rapid capitalists and systematic women. Pablo, I am both. Blood smeared red, then brown on the page. My hip twists up, dances without me. Ice, heat, ice, heat. But Pablo, I want to live in Italy. Curtains billowing at unscreened windows, curving staircases, narrow roads, olive trees, grapevines, trains. Michelangelo knew hunger like a friend. All he lived for were the paints, the marble. He would say, there's only now, white bits of time powdering his skin. But Pablo, I am a systematic woman. I table and chart, I column and grid. Mine now can't breathe. All these lines stabbed through her. And Pablo, the moon barely holds me in her ebb and flow. Feast now, famine later, she says. And she should know. Her thin smile, her hungry mouth to owe. Which shall I pray to, Pablo? How many of you can identify with that poem? And are you overdoing and over-efforting like I was? Going it alone, bashing your head against obstacles until something gives. The obstacle, sometimes your head. And do you feel like I did, like there was never, ever, ever, ever enough time to get it all done? And what did I have to show for all that overdoing? Insomnia, exhaustion, weight gain, lower back spasms, and kids who were afraid of their kitchen cabinet door slamming mom. Thinking about that now, I could cry. And if you're still there, it probably makes you want to cry too. But here's the thing. You don't have to live that way. I remembered deep down inside climbing trees to read books. I remembered sitting on countless beaches, watching endless waves for hours and hours. I remembered making up songs for my dog and getting on my bike on those winding Connecticut roads and just going with no destination in mind. So I decided to rehabilitate that part of myself, and you can too. I'm going to tell you how I did it, not because I think that you will do exactly the same thing I did, but because I hope that it inspires you to take the time and the effort to do whatever it takes for you. My rehab began with the creation of my own Church of Universal Possibility, or CUP for short. That tongue-in-cheek name meant that I would go to my studio 1 or 2 hours a week and just see what happened. I didn't have to produce anything, burn calories, self-improve, solve a problem. The point was to have no point, no expectations. And as a closing ritual each time, I wrote in a special cup journal. The first few entries were tight, didactic recountings of what I did that day. You can feel the residual guilt and the need to have something to show for myself. So I would love for you to take a moment right now to read one of those first journal entries just to get what I'm talking about and see that echo. But I kept at it. And after weeks and months, my cup began to runneth over. Here's a journal entry from 15 months into the transformation. By then, I had found my path. I would just go to my studio by myself and let sound and movement, words and gibberish move through me. No planning, no thinking, no judging. Just letting myself ride the edge of the present moment. Let me give you a 5-minute demonstration of that. they say, but when your car gets too old and everything creaks and your kids start worrying about you getting into it, you have to get a new one. Even though it's like the end of an era, because you've had that car for 14 years and it's just you, and it's little and you can park it anywhere in those little tiny spots in New York City, and it's really good, it's really good, it's really good, it's really good. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Well, no. Blinded by the light, dressed up like a, what's the word, Judo in the middle of the night, blinded by my life. So, after hours and hours of riding the edge of the present like that, I learned to love just being. Here's a journal entry from 4.5 years after I started CUP. These days, I put being at the center of my doing. I still get a lot done, but I pace myself. I take the easy way out and proudly. I take naps when I'm tired. And I take myself on solo retreats every 6 to 8 weeks just to rest and rejuvenate. And these days, instead of slamming those cabinet doors, I dance in the kitchen until I'm hot and sweaty and laughing. So if you identified with the old me, the frazzled overdoer, then I hope that I have inspired you to find your way back to the center of your being. Let me end with another poem I wrote. This one is inspired by the book Women Who Run with the Wolves. La Loba means wolf woman. La Loba speaks. Thinned to a crescent moon, my life hangs in the black sky. A yellowed claw, a comma, a closed eye. But I long for full, for whole, for round and ripe. My howling echoes off the stars, comes back a growl. Learn this. You are a bowl that fills itself. Thank you.
Oh, congratulations, Rhonda, for creating your own transformational rehab from the addiction of trying to do it all and be all things to all people. I know many of us can relate to that. We can feel the frustration and tears you described that come from living and working in that place. We all need to give ourselves permission to just be and to be present in the present. The ability to do that is a gift to ourselves and to those around us. So let's all keep Rhonda in mind as a role model as we go through a process.